Have you got yourself involved in an IT project where the IT team keep going on about Agile and how important it is, and you cannot make head nor tails of why they think it's so important and what it means to you? I'm Jane Scott. I've been an IT consultant for over 30 years. Today I'm going to explain to you what Agile is, why the tech guys get super excited about it, and what are the parts you actually need to know to succeed with the IT project. So, you hear on this video, you've probably already worked out that Agile is something to do with work management. But if you're going to understand Agile, first of all, you have to understand what is the work and why does it need special management. So what is the work? You look at IT projects, they seem super complicated. It's actually very, very simple. Within an IT project, there are always three things. First of all, an IT system. This is an IT project. There will be an IT system. You also need someone who can make that IT system do things. A coder, a computer programmer. In this example, I'm going to call our programmer Dan. You also need someone who wants to use the system. There's something they're trying to do in real life and they think the computer could help them. We call him Thomas. So those are three things. That's at the core of every IT project, no matter the methodology. Once you start scaling up to have many Dans, many Thomases, a big project, what you'll find is that there's two other people. There's somebody who's the vision guy, who's got the big idea of the utopia that will exist if he can only get the IT system to do what he wants. Let's call that person George. George, the vision guy, he does not have any money. So he has to go and get some from somewhere, and that will be from, let's call him James, the funding guy. James has money. He wants to invest it to get a return. He doesn't know what in. George convinces James to spend the money. James might be an external investor, but equally he could be a budget holder within a large corporation. That's all you need. Anybody else involved in the project, they're supporting those people to work more efficiently, or they're making sure that James's money isn't being wasted. Okay, so that's the work. But why does it need special management? Engineering projects have existed for millennia. But there are three particular problems for IT. If you're building a wall or a bridge, someone can come along and see how far you've progressed. With IT, you can't. Another problem is, let's say I wanted to hire someone with 3 years experience on ChatGPT 4. I can't do that. It didn't exist until a few months ago. Nobody has that level of experience. If you were building a road bridge, you can predict how road users are going to behave. You can predict what it's going to mean for local businesses, for other roads around you. With IT, you can't. So over the years, IT professionals like me have been trying to work out what's the best way to manage projects. And we've had troubles. Lots of projects fail. And also quite a few go on to do amazing things. But it goes from one extreme to the other. So over the years, we've tried lots of different ways to make IT projects lean towards the wildly successful and less towards the horrible failures. You'll find that every project that you work on does things slightly differently, even if they say they're following particular methodology. But luckily for you, all of those exist on a spectrum that I'm going to explain now by talking about the two extremes. You've been given an absolute ton of money by James to go and build George's dream. Right. What you can do is you can sit down and try to prepare and plan as much as possible before you let Dan write a single line of code. Lock it down, contracts, agreements, and you give it to Dan, and off he goes and he builds exactly that. The other extreme is wing it. Everything's new, everything's unpredictable. Let's not try to predict. Dan, just go build something. We'll give it to Thomas. We'll see how it goes, and we'll just work from there. Something you simply cannot predict. You'll have to move more towards the centre. Same on the other side. Good luck getting James to give you £1 million to work on just some stuff. You are going to need to have some planning and prediction. In reality, no one can be at either end. But the ones where you lean towards plan ahead, in technology we call that the waterfall methodologies, because the chart in a plan looks a bit like a waterfall. Although when I was taught it, I remembered it more like, those Victorian stuntmen that go over a waterfall in a barrel. Yeah. So it's like, well, if that's what you're going to do, any questions, any doubts you've got, you're going to get those sorted out before you get in the barrel and jump off the waterfall. And on the other side of the spectrum, that's called Agile methodologies, or Agile if you're American. Why do IT get so excited about it? It's very technical for them, and they can get quite caught up on explaining it to you and all of the jargon around it. Most of it you do not need to know. But the other thing they can do is they might try to convince you that trial and error, which they might call iterations, is the way to go. So they're trying to convince you of the concept of Agile. Yeah, you're working on an IT project in a corporate environment. You don't actually get to choose that. Someone else has chosen it. That's what you're doing. It's been decided. Why do they remind you that they're agile? Why is it that guy who keeps mentioning, no, we're agile. Someone in the IT team is feeling that they are being pressured to predict things that they cannot predict, or to guarantee things that they cannot guarantee. Or perhaps they feel they're being asked to criticize someone for trying something. So what they're doing there, when you use that agile word, is they're reminding you, stop trying to push me to predict something I don't know. The way we'll find out is to try it out. You're working with an IT project. What do you need to know about Agile in order to get the things you want out of that IT team so you can help build this utopian dream, whatever it is? Well, two things. One thing, you can just recognize that spectrum thing, that you're on the try it and see side, which means some things sometimes won't work out and sometimes things will work out. And the second thing is, you need to understand how people interact day to day to make decisions about what to build. So Dan has to do some coding, and every now and again he has to release some update to Thomas. How are those decisions made? So the Agile method is just a way of thinking. It doesn't help you with deciding what are we going to do today. And you might think to yourself, how on earth do we stop that descending into chaos? That is actually a really big problem. How do you decide what gets built? Luckily for you, here in 2024, a lot of the experimentation around that has pretty much resolved. There are two methods that are used for day-to-day workflow management under the Agile way of thinking that have survived the test of time. One of them is called Scrum, and one of them is called Kanban. Scrum is used way more heavily than anything else. Kanban's behind, and anything else, just you don't need to worry about it. If you're working with IT, you might find that they use the words Agile and Scrum interchangeably. Yeah? Agile is the concept, that spectrum that we talked about. Scrum is a set of rules for how we interact day to day with the team to make decisions about what to build. So how do you, as a non-IT person who wants the IT team to build some stuff for you, interact with the teams if they are using Agile Scrum? Good question. I explain that in this next video.